So last set in this video of doing this quick render of Mickey Mouse's chrome hand and part of his arm. I'm working the arm here, and I wanted to show this. I've kind of gone into hyperspeed, and I'm just quickly, in almost a conceptual way, blocking in these shapes you see here. Now, what I wanted to talk about is the fact that this is kind of confusing. This is the main light source, the photographer's light, the dark around it, it keeps reappearing. It's confusing to look at this, and so two things: ground reflection, sky reflection, primary reflective shape, which is this. I make those decisions even if it's not clear in the reference. I'm going to make a decision that that's the way it's going to break down, and I'm going to widen this reflection. As you can see, it's already some more substantially wide than you see in the reference. I get up here and I do like some of these shapes, but I feel like maybe there's just too much going on. I do like the fact that there's a light that kind of appears like that and then reappears. Actually changes location, that's okay. But at this point, it looks like I'm in drawing mode, and I kind of am. I'm just drawing with my 90% gray. Which, if you look at this 90% gray, it looks like more like a 70-80 gray compared to that, because we darken these. That's another thing you'll find as you're rendering, is that your sensitivity to all the ranges of tones is going to increase. And it's going to increase exponentially, even on the course of doing one render. What you thought was the darkest dark is way too light by the time you've darkened in all the other areas, and you will find typically you're actually going back into all your darkest areas and redarkening again, because they all got kind of weak compared to the mid-tone areas. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to leave these bright spots as open white of the paper, and then I'm just taking a 20 and I'm going through and I'm going around my pencil line so I don't smear, and then over my 90, but I'm protecting any area that I want to be a bright highlight. So this whole area just got covered with 20, basically, with the exception of 1, 2, 3, 4 lights. Down on this side, I'm just going to, like I say, I'm going hyperspeed. We're just going to speed this up. That's my bright side, all that white. I'm not going to try and get complicated with that. Keep it simple so that it separates from the ground reflection area. My pencil lines, I'm actually blending them in. Not going to bother to erase them out, just use them. And feather that out. And for the moment, I'm going to leave that just like that. And now, time for the ink pen. Time for a little fun with ink pen. So here, I'm going to freehand this, because it's kind of a constantly undulating line. I can really get away with freehanding this. Put an edge on that. Just want to show you how these shapes will just suddenly gel together once you get a hard edge on them in a true 100% tone. So having done that, put another edge on this side. And right here is where I get a little inventive. You can see these shapes. At this point, I'm playing, just having a little fun and following my reference. As long as I'm staying in line with the reference, I can get away with things like that. I can start redesigning the subject, you might say, giving it style and flair. So here comes the 100%. And I have let these two shapes just come together here. That's fine for our demo. Protect the highlights. I can use pencil, but I think I'm going to stick with the ink pen for the moment. Now, I have said repeatedly that all the action on chrome and glass takes place near the edges. You notice how we get a rapid succession of shapes there at the edge, and it's more so in the reference, so I'm going to mimic that. Then I feel like it closed up a bit too much and we lost some of the brighter tones up in this area. Take the white pencil. So I purposely have picked up the pace just to show you this would be closer to the way I would actually work in terms of speed, especially early in an illustration. So I just obliterated those small shapes. I can now come back, put them back in. Now, one thing to be careful about, if you put marker over colored pencil, it will smear really quickly. So I got to be careful of that. I got to work around that mark I just put over the top. Probably should have waited, but I do this in part to show you the do's and the don'ts. This line will come back if I actually liquefy the white over the top. And I just keep working these three media. So you have the markers, colored pencil, and the ink pen working in tandem with each other to create the total effect. And you can see here I am again with 100. This was not 100% black. I'm hitting this again because I can see now after darkening those areas, it's not there yet. Even 100% black, if I layer this in once, then twice, I can actually see that there's about a 3% darkening here than there was there. And still, that's about 98, 99. It's not a full rich black, but I'll tell you, a key to getting a full rich black, you can take your black pencil and you can do a blend like this. Say you're just not happy with the black tone, it's not quite there yet. I'll show you how you can actually do a quick blend with black over what you thought was a black area with your marker. And now you would take, and here you will have to clean off your marker. Just do a quick blend. That is 100% right at the edge. The black pencil, color pencil, blends to the richest, darkest black we can create. Combination of that 90 and 100 permanent marker, and this pencil gives you what we get as what we would define as a true 100% black. But you know, this is pretty close. I'm almost done with this last video just to kind of show you a little bit of refining the roundness of the sleeve here, the cuff. I left some open shapes there, and what I would do is I just go in now and refine. And doing this at hyperspeed, just winging it. I'll show you how quickly you can just kind of go in. So I lost this brighter shape here. I'd really like to get that to come back. So I'm going to put a blend of the white now, just like I was doing with black here. Once you understand that you can blend and how to blend it, you know, just soften the edge. Don't overdo it, just a little bit of touch of pencil. And look, I've got a bright head of light right there. Kind of livens up that area. Preserve the true bright white highlight at the edge. And then I notice, you know what, I actually do have a dark shape that's supposed to be here that will actually finish this little complex of reflections. By the way, that's 90. Doesn't look as black as that, does it? I know now because I've been darkening all over the place. I have choices here. I can probably, in fact, this probably also creates 100% black if you really fill with it. I tend not to do this because it takes forever and it looks a little red cast because this, like the 100% black permanent marker, seems to have a bit of red in it. And it's not always attractive, plus it has a sheen. It shows in your render at the end. And I've had students say, Professor, what do I do about this? There's this shine in my work, and there's a couple of tricks we can use for that, which I'll get into later on the portrait probably. But here, look what I'm doing. I'm adding now these extra shapes, some of them, just kind of imagining some of these here. This actually did have a strong stroke on it. At this point, I really am taking liberties with this, you know, changing it, because I have the feel of the reference now, how it works. All these reflections tend to wrap. And so I lead with the strong dark shape, then follow with the blend. That's sort of my sequence I go through. And let's do that. And I'm going to blend it like this off the edge of the marker. By the way, that wasn't quite dry there. That's why I got that little darkness. I'm actually using that though. Sometimes I get impatient. I'm working really fast, and if something like that happens, I just use it. Actually blend that water-soluble right in because it hadn't quite dried yet. And you notice what I just did there? I have this, created something that doesn't exist in the reference. It's actually lighter up here and softer dark here, but I kind of like this, where I created a little edge light. So I'm going to push it some more and see what I think. Part of it is I've rendered chrome and this kind of thing so many times, I like to do something different every time. It's fun. So I actually created this light source over on the bottom side of that area. And now, just blend it softly. If it works, because it's following basically the lighting characteristic, I actually like what I have happening here better than what's happening in the reference. And that's what I mean. When you start, that comfort factor gets to that point, that's when this really gets to be fun.